I'm done with them just sitting there. I'm taking down my backlog one game at a time.
Yep. I'm never getting rid of my backlog. Hey everybody, hope you had a Merry Christmas, and depending on when you're watching this, a Happy New Year. If you like gaming related content or podcasts that make you think, consider subscribing to the channel here. You know, back in July, I thought spending the next year to focus on my backlog was a good idea, but it appears I really underestimated the lineup of games releasing this fall and the holiday sales that would accompany them. And I think we all got a good share of new games this holiday season. I definitely added several to my growing backlog, and if you picked up some new games, I'm curious to know what you picked up and what you're enjoying, so leave a comment below of what you picked up. Now, because of the busyness of the holidays, I totally forgot to do a video for November, and so it kind of begs the question, have I made any progress since October, or did Forza Horizon 5 and Halo Infinite take up all my gaming time? Thankfully, no. And really, when I look at the amount of progress I've made since July, since I started this whole backlog thing, I'm kind of surprised, because I've made a lot of progress. So much so that I really didn't feel bad about adding new games to my library this holiday season. And as 2021 draws to a close and I gather all the data from July to now, I've finished around 20 games since July. 4 of those I actually completed and obtained the Platinum Trophy, or whatever the equivalent is on Xbox. Is it just 100%? Is that all it is? No trophy? That's boring. During my Christmas break, I went through my backlog on the GG app, which, by the way, if you want to follow me on the GG app, link to my profile will be in the description down below. But I went through my backlog and went through it with a fine-tooth comb, so to speak. I asked myself questions like, am I really ever going to play a game called Fae Tactics? No, I'm not. And so I took that and several other games off of my backlog because I knew I would never ever play them. But I also asked myself, do I really need to have Breath of the Wild 2 on my want to play section? It's not like I'm gonna forget about the game when it comes out. It's one of my most anticipated games of 2022. It is coming out in 2022, right? Right, Nintendo? Please? Come on, I need a good Zelda game. But I was going through my backlog, I was carefully considering what games I was actually going to play, what ones I'm not gonna play, and I found some games that I had beaten years ago, and for some reason they were sitting in my want to play list, which didn't make any sense to me, so I removed those. And there were some games I just moved over to the abandoned list because, let's be honest, I'm not gonna finish a game like Paper Mario. I should specify the Origami King, not the first one. And after going through my backlog and weeding things out and fine-tuning some things and moving things around, my backlog is now down, I think, shy of 100 games versus the 140 plus it was at the start of this journey, and it feels really good to see that kind of progress. And I might be off on the numbers, but I'll post a little thing here on the screen that should allow you to see kind of where my backlog is currently. But the last several months got me thinking about this idea of the backlog and why we as gamers burden ourselves with it. When I had John Harrison on the show for episode 201, he made a comment about viewing our gaming backlog as a library, and he likened it to how a librarian is in charge of this massive library of books, but they haven't read every single book and they don't really despair over it either. While this may not be a one-to-one apt comparison, it still got me thinking, why do we as gamers look at our games or pile of games or back catalog of games as a backlog when readers and movie buffs and people who really like listening to music view their collection of books and movies and albums as a library, but we as gamers look at ours as a backlog? It's kind of weird when you think about it, and it sounds like a chore, doesn't it? And so that's why I think the backlog here on the channel is going to change in 2022. I think I'm done viewing my backlog as a backlog, as this pile of burden to just carry along with me as I exist on this earth. You know, when I think about my backlog, it feels like it's this insurmountable Mount Everest sort of thing, right? Especially with all the JRPGs that make up parts of the mountain. Dang it, Trails in the Sky and Trails of Cold Steel. But when I think about my gaming catalog as a library, when I make that shift, it sounds way more exciting. I mean, who knows what kind of adventure I'll go on? Maybe the experiences that I find or try out will be exciting or disappointing, but either way, I think now I understand why Belle in Beauty of the Beast gets so excited when she goes to the library, because you never know what new book you're gonna get, and you never know what the new experience is gonna be. And when you look at your gaming library as a library, you kind of get this sense of excitement instead of dread when you look at it as a backlog. But not only that, something I noticed over the past few months when I was approaching my backlog, like I'm gonna tackle my backlog, I'm gonna take the games down, I felt rushed. I felt like I needed to breeze through all the games because I'm on a timetable. I want to clear my backlog out before July 2022, and I got to hurry up and get through these games. And I found myself hating the games that required more time, whether it's a JRPG or it's an adventure game or something else. And so I wasn't really enjoying the game because I felt rushed to complete it. And really, this is kind of the fun thing about doing projects like this, because they're prone to change, especially when you start one YouTube series. It starts out as one thing and then it becomes another, kind of how any new adventure really is, and which really is a good thing, because when you're stuck doing the same thing for too long, it gets boring and you just lose the fire to keep it going. And so that's why I think the Backlog series here on the channel is changing in 2022. And instead of update videos, I'm going to try something different. Kind of like my Death Stranding video, where I took the game itself and broke it down and talked about the different aspects of the game. I'm going to do that with different games that I'm playing in my library. I'm going to share some of those experiences with you, and maybe we can talk about some of our favorite games or not so favorite games here together on the channel in 2022. I want to enjoy these games too, and I've realized that the more I look and approach my library of games as a backlog, I don't really enjoy the games. I feel hurried and rushed, and I just want to clear games off my list. And so I don't really get my money's worth out of the games, and I don't really experience everything there is to enjoy in the games. Not that you have to experience everything in the game, but I want to at least explore it and venture out, kind of like what I'm doing in Shin Megami Tensei 5 now, which I'm finding that if I just take my time with the game and really explore, it's a more fun experience. I also kind of need the extra XP and monsters, because if I go into a fight ill-prepared, it's crazy how quickly that game can destroy you, even on casual mode. But the truth is, I'll never get rid of my backlog, because I'm never going to get rid of my library of games. The library may look different each year, but either way, my library is never going away, and my backlog never will either. So I'll just continue to add to it. Years go by, much like a reader does with books, or a lover of film does with movies, or a musician does with albums. But in 2022, the backlog is becoming TRG Library. Each month I'll try to cover a game, like I said, one that I really enjoyed or didn't enjoy, and I'll share my thoughts on it. We can talk about it here on the channel. Now, January is quickly approaching, and I don't really know which game to talk about first. Do I talk about Shin Megami Tensei 5, or do I talk about Guardians of the Galaxy? Because both are surprisingly good in different ways. Guess we'll see what I talk about in January. So with that being said, please look forward to TRG Library starting up in 2022. And as I end this backlog update, I am curious, what are you playing? Did you add any games to your library recently? I would love to know, so leave a comment down below. And as always, if you like this video, hit the like button. If you didn't like the video, well, you can hit the dislike button, but no one's gonna see it, so do what you want, I guess. But with that being said, I hope you all have a happy new year. Hopefully you are taking down your backlogs, but let's switch things up in 2022. Let's look at our gaming backlog more of a library with new exciting experiences waiting for us, and then let's share them here on the channel in 2022. Until next time, be a deer, keep it locked here. I'll see you in the next video.
I don't want to keep doing the same thing that everyone else is doing, because there were people who were doing it better. There were people who had more time, or whatever the thought was. It's like, I didn't want to do the same thing. And I started doing this kind of fun thing on Fridays, where I just had like a free-for-all Friday, where I talked about something on my mind, and once or twice I said, let me do something about a video game. Let me talk about that. And it felt good. It felt fun, and it felt inspiring. And